David just got arrested for murdering Celeste. Now, even with an arrest coming and an update this big, I'm here to tell y'all it's far from over. We haven't even scratched the surface of this situation yet.
Major breaking news now. Detectives from the Los Angeles Police Department Robbery Homicide Division have arrested singer David Burke for the murder of Celeste Rivas. Burke is being held without bail. The case will be presented to the DA's office on Monday for filing consideration. You may remember, and we've been reporting, Rivas's body was found in the trunk of David's car in September of last year. She was only 14 years old. Again, this breaking news just into our newsroom. We're working to get more information, and we'll continue to follow this story.
We do want to go ahead and bring in now ABC's Alex Stone on the phone to speak more about this case. Alex, you've been following this from the very beginning. What can you tell us as far as this breaking information goes this afternoon?
Well, Mark and Michelle, sources are telling us that this is based off of evidence that the LAPD was able to gather and put together and now is going to be presenting to the LA County DA for a filing decision on Monday. This was not from any kind of indictment. We know that the case had gone to a grand jury. It was expected that there might be an indictment coming sometime soon. We were thinking in the last couple of months or in the next few weeks.
David is being charged with murder. Now, the reason why we have to reiterate murder is because when the investigation first started, LAPD put out a press release where they notified the public that they may not even have enough for murder, that, Celeste may have died from an overdose, and, that David and others may just be charged with, improperly disposing of a body. But for them to charge David with murder, they would now have proof or evidence from their perspective that David committed this murder against Celeste or instructed the murder of Celeste. But nobody else has been arrested or is in custody. So for now, David is who they believe murdered Celeste. This is the press release from LAPD Robbery and Homicide Division. Now, they will say the Los Angeles Police Department Robbery/Homicide Division has been diligently investigating the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez over the past several weeks. At this time, we can confirm that Celeste Hernandez is deceased, and her body was found in the front trunk area of a Tesla belonging to David. The vehicle had been parked at the location from which it was towed for several weeks, so Ms. Hernandez may have been deceased for several weeks before the discovery of her body. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner has not yet determined the cause or manner of Celeste Rivas' death. As such, it remains unclear whether there is any criminal culpability beyond the concealment of her body. Is thoroughly examining every aspect of this case to uncover the truth and seek justice for Celeste Hernandez and her family. But when they had that grand jury and they brought in everybody associated with the situation, they brought in David's parents, they brought in Neo, they brought in David's manager. After speaking to everybody, they quickly came to the conclusion that this was not no accident, no overdose, no, Celeste was murdered. Now, the body was so badly decomposed that the medical examiner couldn't really, get a full understanding of how she died.
This was not from that. We are told that this is evidence that they have been compiling going back to when her body was found last September, that now they have reached a point where they believe they have probable cause, and it's gone to the DA.
All right. And so a lot of people wondering, so many things seem to point to him. Why did it take them this long to make the arrest? We know they're pretty methodical about how they do things, but.
Yeah, it's a good question. One of the things that they were waiting on, Mark, was the cause of death. And there was difficulty reaching that cause of death, not to get too graphic, but her body was in multiple parts. It was in, we know from court documents, 2 different body bags in the front trunk of that Tesla when her body was found. So it was difficult for the medical examiner to determine the cause of death. So they had to prove or be able to show to the DA that she was murdered, that it wasn't something else where, let's say that she overdosed and then somebody freaked out and put her body in that trunk. They have to be able to prove that it was murder. They now believe that they can do that.
All right.
Yeah, we also know, David, as many entertainers do, had an entourage of people around him at times. I know some other individuals have been considered as drivers of this vehicle or either around. Any information on possibly how this could impact other people that David was around that also may have been around Celeste Rivas?
Michelle, we don't know yet, and if there are any other arrests that are going to be coming in this case. We know that there were a number of witnesses who came and testified in front of the grand jury, again, that this was not an indictment, that this is probable cause that the LAPD put together and moved forward on. But during the grand jury proceedings, which are secret as they're ongoing, that there were a number of other people who came forward, those who are close to David, friends of David, family members of his were subpoenaed to go in front of the grand jury. So if there are other arrests that could be coming, we don't know. But as of right now, he is the only one that we know of under arrest.
All right.
There has to be more arrests coming. There just has to be, right? Like obviously there's more arrests coming because the person who drove the Tesla and parked it outside of David's crib with the body in the trunk, that person was never identified yet or arrested, but the private investigator says they have ID'd the person. They know who that person was. Well, if that person drove the body and parked it, isn't that person some type of accessory after the fact? Like the people who was purchasing things like burn cages for David, isn't that person somehow an accessory after the fact? Now, a lot of people came in and they spoke to a lot of people. I knew David was cooked from the second, right, that they was bringing in his homies, bro. The one homie, after the grand jury, his entire tone changed, bro. Once they brought him in and they let him know what he was facing and how he could be charged, man, bro came back on Instagram and told everybody, hey, bro, David is a piece of ish. Celeste is a victim. And we're like, huh? She's a victim. So that means that she was murdered. Once his best friend turned on him publicly, I knew it was already cooked for David.
Here's what I'm going to do, okay? I'm going to read you what Neil Langston just posted on his Instagram account. And I will tell you, it's quite telling, okay? And I'm curious why he posted it, why of all times right now. I'm going to try to put it into context a bit more, but this is important. This is a big development. So Neo took to Instagram with a series of posts. There was one that said, I understand due to my silence and the silence in general, it leaves a void of information that everyone wants to fill. But at the end of the day, this case isn't about me. It isn't about you. It's about getting justice for the victim and her family, and I care a lot more about that than trying to fill that void because of public opinion. Obviously wasn't doing my part at first, but now I am. I've stayed loyal to my mindset and I will continue to. I'm not publicly going to give any opinion or emotion about this case because I find it disrespectful and not my place to weigh in on it, especially as it's still ongoing. I'm not going to spam post to justify and perform my feelings and thoughts for the internet, trying to satisfy people who have already made up their minds about me. In time, the record will speak for itself, and I'm moving on with my life. There's another post where he apparently said, I think the worst part is that I've told so many people that I trust that I thought knew me as a person, my side of things, all for that to be thrown out the window as soon as I get arrested and they slap that bleep's name next to mine. I'm assuming he's referring to David here. And for the record, the thing I was arrested for, I wasn't even charged. They never filed it, and my warrant was retracted because there is more to the story than what's on the news. Then there's this post. Thankfully, I'm legally fine in every way, and boy, do I got all my receipts for things. Ha 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 ha. This raises a lot of questions about why he posted this. Obviously, he can't and will not say anything to jeopardize his legal rights, right? Probably instructed by the government to not say anything either if he had spoken in front of the grand jury. Probably his attorney said, don't say anything. I don't even know if his attorney was consulted with this post, but it seems like he's trying to correct whatever misconception or misunderstanding the public has on him or his alleged role in this, because there is a lot of talk about him.
It could be possible the prosecutor strike the deal with Neo and other people involved to where for their testimony, if they agree to come and testify against David, they won't get charged with accessory after the fact, because this case for the most part is hinging on witness testimony. It's hinging on people coming and taking a stand and testifying. Because in terms of physical evidence itself, there's really not much. David had, 6 months to a year to clean this up? The private investigator said that he believed that Celeste may have been dead for almost a year before they found her. So he had about a year to clean up his tracks. So they bought a burn cage because they was about to get rid of the body. whoever that tow person was, or whoever called that tow truck, saved this case, bro. Because can you imagine if they were allowed a few extra more weeks when David came back from tour and they was able to work that burn cage and really burn it and burn her body and get rid of everything? What other evidence would there be that David murdered this person? What other trace would there be? There won't be no trace. And her family wasn't looking for her. She's been missing for like almost a year. And they knew she was with David. They didn't give a damn at all. But there has to be more arrests coming because David ain't do this alone. David was a millionaire who paid a lot of people around him to do certain things. People who was driving that Tesla around with the body in it. People who was purchasing the burn cage under the fake name. People who took the trip with David to the middle of nowhere in California, and we still don't know why they took that trip there. Everybody involved has to be held accountable. I'm not even comfortable with them getting deals. Now, a lot of us had a hunch that this was coming, that the first-degree murder charge was coming, because if you were focused or tapped into this case, then you know that, like court documents were getting leaked, where it literally was like the state of California versus David Burke. So we already knew some charges were coming. I just wasn't expecting a murder charge. Because for months we've been, told, they might get charged with concealment of the body. We don't know if murder really fits. But now we know for a fact they have enough to confidently state that David murdered Celeste, which should be a no-brainer.
Dead, the people of state of California v. David Burke. Nathan Hochman at the top. He's the Los Angeles County District Attorney. Beth Silverman, too, who we believe is the attorney prosecuting this case. So confirming, again, this is a real case. They're the prosecutors. There was even video or pictures of her coming in and out of court. It goes on to say that there is now pending in the Superior Court of the County of Los Angeles the above entitled grand jury investigation by the state of California against target David Burke. David, that's his real name, David, wherein target may be involved in having committed the following criminal offenses against the laws of the state of California, to wit, 1 count of murder. And when I looked up the penal code that was allegedly broken here, murder is the unlawful killing of a human being or a fetus with malice aforethought, basically an intentional killing. The filing goes on to say, on September 8th, 2025, at approximately 10:30 hours, Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD detectives received a phone call from the manager of Hollywood Area Official Police Garage. The manager stated a black Tesla Model X had been impounded as an abandoned vehicle by the Department of Transportation on September 5th, 2025. The manager told police there was a strong smell of decay coming from the vehicle, which was attracting flies. LAPD detectives responded to the Hollywood tow yard to investigate. Detectives approached the vehicle, which was parked on the upper deck of the impound lot, and immediately noticed the smell of decaying biological material consistent with a decomposing corpse coming from the front storage compartment of the vehicle. Detectives obtained a search warrant for the vehicle, and when the front storage compartment was opened, detectives observed a black cadaver bag covered with insects and a strong odor of decay. Utilizing black latex gloves, detectives partially unzipped the bag and observed a decomposed head and torso. Investigators and criminalists from the Los Angeles County Department of Medical Examiner responded to the tow yard to process the decomposed body. Upon removing the cadaver bag from the front storage compartment, it was discovered the arms and legs had been severed from the body. A second black bag was discovered underneath the cadaver bag.
I don't think we have even scratched the surface of this. Y'all think David himself cut off or sawed off her limbs and put it in the bags? You think David did that himself? I don't think so. No, I think David had a lot of flunkies around him who was doing his bidding. And I think everybody involved need to be held accountable, man. And this might be controversial here, bruh. I think the people that allowed a 14-year-old girl to move into the house of a grown man and didn't really care about her well-being or her whereabouts and allow her to stay over there, I think those people probably need to be brought in as well and questioned. You never questioned why this 14-year-old, so she was 13 at the time, was at a grown man's crib, at a 19, 20-year-old crib. Like, you never questioned this? Like, you never questioned, like, the appropriateness of their relationship, which we now know their actual relationship was inappropriate. We now know they were intimately involved, that this dude was an absolute sicko. We know this. But where were the adults in her life? Where were the adults who were responsible for this young girl? That's where we got to start, question things like the R. Kelly narrative, where R. Kelly claiming, the parents, gave the daughters to me. Is that what we're dealing with? Like, did the parents know? Was David able to pay off people? Because even like classmates or peers and associates of Celeste claimed that David came to their neighborhood and was paying people to keep quiet on Celeste and David's relationship. That that he was paying people not to say anything about what they knew about them being involved. So if this man was willing to pay Celeste's friends to keep quiet, what do you think he was willing to do to make sure that the adults in her life was okay with them hanging out and being intimate and dating? Y'all let me know in the comment section, man. What do you guys think, man? And if you're also watching this video and you want to watch another good video, click on this video right here to find out how D4vd just snapped and exposed Boosie for lying on him. It's a really dope video. You don't want to miss it. And if you love my content, like the video and click the hype button that pops up to send your support and push my videos in the algorithm. Hypes are the most important thing, so please, please, please send me a hype. I'm going to see you guys in this D4vd and Boosie video. I'm out of here, folks. Peace.